So you guys remember a few months ago when Mayor Aura was still in office and I decided to go for one of the most rare dies in the game, the Matcha die. I kind of mentioned in that video that this would be the last Slayer die I would ever go for, as the other ones are fully unrealistic, and then I followed up with a Vampire Slayer video dropping the Vampire die. But I mean, after that, all the other dies I said were kind of unrealistic too. In other words, today I'm going to be dropping the Brick Red die. You know, the die that is a 1 in 250,000 drop chance from a tier 5 Tarantula Broodfather. I mean, that doesn't even sound real. I swear I have a good reason for going for this die. It's not just out of some stupid reason. And also, I kind of want to experience the Slayer, as they've done a lot of changes to it and I've never actually did the Slayer properly. And I imagine a lot of you haven't either. So in today's video, not only do I want to do a ton of tier 5 Slayer bosses to show you kind of what they look like and how much money you can make, but at the end of the video, I will be dropping the Brick Red die, and officially, that will be my last Slayer die. Quickly before going into this video, if you're ever checking out in the Hypixel store, please make sure to use code CANDY for 5% off your order. And hey, you might as well also check if you're subscribed. It would mean a lot to us. Now, I've talked about it before, but there are a total of 6 Slayer dies in Hypixel Skyblock, and they heavily range in how reasonable they are to get. From the most unreasonable, we have both the Flame and the Byzantium die, both in which I will never be dropping, and you could hold me to that. You also have stuff like the Sangria die, which we dropped in the video before. The only reason I went for this die is I was able to drop it in like 5 minutes time without actually doing any of the grinding. Otherwise, this die would also be completely unreasonable. And then we have the big 3 over on the left, being the Matcha die, the Brick Red die, and then the Celeste die, from each respective Slayer being the Rev, Spider, and Sven Slayer. Each one of these dies, as you can see, have a 75 million RNG meter rate to get it, meaning that you need 75 million Slayer XP in order to drop it, which for Rev Slayer, very reasonable, but then for Spider and Sven Slayer are completely kind of unreasonable. Rev bosses just take like a fifth of the time to fully complete. So with that in mind, why would I be going for this die? Well, as you can see on screen right now, it is because of Anake Feathers. In the Vampire Slayer video, I was using these Anake Feathers to fully get me there in order to drop the Sangria die, and well, I still had some left over, so I went ahead and with Aura still in office, I was able to use her 2 times RNG meter perk and put all of my feathers into Spider Slayer. Well, besides these 2 that I accidentally put 1 into Matcha die and 1 into Celeste die. I'm kind of pissed off about that still. That's 2 million XP. Now the thing is, even though I did have a bunch of Anake feathers, I did not have enough to get myself all the way to the Brick Red die. In fact, I was still 18.5 million Slayer XP off before I could drop the die automatically. And rather than being lame and fully RNG metering my way there, I decided it was also time to grind out some spiders to not only get the full experience, but to make sure that the die I drop feels somewhat rewarding and not just fully handed down to me. The thing is, unlike Revenant Slayer, I did not have the setup for this automatically ready. They changed Spider Slayer all the way back in July, and I have barely done it since then, so there was a lot of gear upgrading that I needed to do. So here's a little clip of me spending billions of coins to do the stupid Slayer. Right, before I even get into this whole thing, I'm not gonna lie, the gear I have for Spider Slayer is kind of horrible. The setup isn't honestly that bad. Like Rev Slayer, it's not the most complicated thing ever. In this little backpack I have over here, I have everything set up with every enchant, everything I could possibly need to upgrade all of my gear. We'll go ahead and start off with equipment. This equipment set here is mostly for Magic Find. This shriveled bracelet here gives some combat wisdom and Magic Find, which is nice. Thankfully, at the time of recording this, cocooning is finally fixed, meaning that I could use this for this die. The primordial belt, having the Slayer boss respawn, or the mini boss with a 10% chance. And then obviously David's cloak and the rift necklace are specifically for Magic Find. All I need to do is recom this piece of equipment, and that is the equipment done. Next up is this Crown of Avarice. The Crown of Avarice is the best helmet on Slayers, specifically for damage. It doesn't give Magic Find or anything, but in order for it to be the best, I need to go ahead and put Habanero Tactics 5 on it. During the past few Dianas in Aura, I actually leveled not only this up to 1 billion coins, but another one up to 1 billion coins, and listen, it might seem like a waste of money. It definitely is, but I have too many coins. It's okay. There we go. It doesn't need to be G7, P7, whatever. It could just sit here for now. Next up, we have the Mosquito Shortbow. You need to use this in order to damage the egg sacs, as you can see with the first ability, arrows fired from this weapon deal 3x damage to the egg sacs. And you don't need to enchant it with much, just this book right here, Duplex 1, Infinite Quiver 10, that is it. I don't need a recom, don't need to reforge this, and I can put it back in the backpack. Other than that, the last thing I need to focus on is my Sting. The Sting is the Slayer weapon, obviously, and currently looking at it, this is fucking horrendous. I don't even know how it got to the state. I don't know why I 5-starred it, don't know why I didn't recom it, don't know why I only put 1 Thieving Potato Book on it. It doesn't have Bane 7, it doesn't have a lot of the critical tier 7 enchants, and so that is what this book is here to solve. So in order, I'm going to quickly put on this recom, going to max it out with Fume Potato books, and I guess I didn't have an Art of War on it, might as well. Go into gemstones, I can apply this perfect here, and need to unlock this slot, 5 million coins, to apply this other perfect, and then in order to apply this book, I need 540 levels, so I will go ahead into the bazaar. I'm sure 3 Titanics will be enough, probably even 2. Nope, 3 isn't the lucky number. And oh, it only costs 400. That's cool. There we go. This is everything. And then I also have these few extra tier 7 enchants. I hate how they have this new system where they're items now, so I need to apply them one by one, but all these 0 XP. And with this last one applied, this is a fully maxed out sting. Well, mostly. You didn't think I would forget about the Chimera 5, right? Listen, I've always wanted to have every single Slayer weapon maxed out, and this is only a step in the right direction. And there we go. Obviously, I'm not putting all the bullshit enchants. I don't need experience 5. I don't need luck 7. There's literally no use for luck on this. And I don't know what they did with the game update, but every single mod I have just does not work with rainbow enchants, so it looks ugly as hell. But yeah, if I am not wrong, I guess I can make it, I can make it a dungeon item. Other than that, I guess I could put master swords on it, but that is everything else. Now, to my knowledge, this is all you need. It's a very simple setup. Maybe I should actually put the perfects back on my crimson armor. That would be a good step in the right direction. But yeah, all you need in the hotbar is a sting, the mosquito shortbow, and SOS flare, and that's really it. Now, granted, right now it is Aatrox, so I am getting the 25% extra Slayer XP, but there is another 9,000 bosses I need to go in order to get this die. You know, would have been less if I didn't put 2 feathers into both of these Slayers, but that's besides the point. Now, unlike Rev, I've literally have not done the Slayer since its release, quite honestly, and I have no idea how many bosses you could actually do an hour. And not to mention, the big thing I already noticed is that unlike doing Revs where you're always in a private lobby, you're forced to be in a public lobby no matter where you do Spider Slayer. And this lobby alone, just doing my one boss with this goddamn volcano exploding, this lobby's unplayable. And I can imagine this is just going to be a theme throughout. If I were to guess, without any type of actually doing the Slayer, I probably have another 40 to 50 hours of the Slayer to do. But I mean, looking at the top left already, I'm actually in the profit just based off of the token drop, so at least it's going to be a lot more profitable. And you know what? I was totally right. This Slayer does make a lot more money than Revenant Slayer could ever dream about making. Not only does Spider Slayer also give a stupid amount of combat XP, but on top of that, the base drops are just worth so much more. In fact, the majority of your profit comes from the base token drop, being the Terra Web. I mean, currently on Bazaar, they are going for 2,000 coins per, and as you can see, killing a tier 5 Terra guarantees you a 64 drop of Terra Web, meaning that every boss you are guaranteed a profit on top of all of these other drops in the menu. And these drops are not worthless like Revenant Slayer. I mean, a digested mosquito even is 15 million coins. I mean, unlike Revenant Slayer, each of the main token drops have a good value. Even the Primordial Eye is nearly double the price of what a Warden Heart was. So that was kind of the main thing keeping me going through the Slayer. But the thing is, I was only happy it made money because it made for a good video. I have a 37 billion coin purse, and quite frankly, that money is just a drop in the pile. Sure, I'll be happy about the money it makes, but at the same time, just like the Revolut, it's gonna sit on my island and collect dust. I have yet to sell any of the Warden Hearts. So the money wasn't the main thing, it was more about the Slayer experience that I had to deal with for roughly the next 10,000 bosses. And you want to know what type of Slayer experience I had to deal with? Let me go ahead and tell you. I think the first thing to talk about is the Slayer is very filled with bugs. On screen right now, I'll go ahead and show you a clip that I actually sent in as a bug report on the forums. If you do too much damage, you are actually punished and your boss will just disappear on you. This isn't like a visual glitch, this is a permanently you just killed the boss and it's not giving you the credit for it because you killed it too early. Now granted, I am editing this probably a month or two from me actually recording this clip, but as of recording, this bug is still not fixed after they rolled a major game update, so that's fun. Hey, it's me from the future. This bug is still not patched. Another thing is that this Slayer is hosted on the worst island in Skyblock, that being the Crimson Isle. I mean, if you know anything about Skyblock, you know how laggy the Crimson Isle can get most of the time, especially during peak hours and whatever. These servers are damn near unplayable. On top of that, you have stupid stuff like the volcano that'll explode every like 2 hours that also just completely lags out the server. It is not a fun experience. Coming from a guy who did 50 hours of Rev Slayer, doing Slayers in a public lobby, not fun at all. Not to mention, I would also heavily argue that the Tarantula Slayer is the worst Slayer when it comes around to the actual boss fight. Let me go ahead and give you an example. Let me go ahead and kill a boss here. Alright, the immediate thing, if I go ahead and spawn a boss, this might be the worst part already, is the eggs. The eggs are super annoying to shoot down, as you could shoot 3 arrows at it, and as you can see, it's very buggy on how they go down. And as you can see right there, I accidentally just killed my boss. I didn't need to show that clip earlier. I did it on purpose. On accident, I mean. But yeah, like I was saying, not only do you have to deal with these annoying eggs, which, I mean, they just take forever to come down, considering you have to use the mosquito shortbow for it, but whenever you get to killing the boss, after I get it past this phase, there is just a 2-second window where you can't do anything. In that 2-second window, you won't technically have a Slayer quest active, so if you kill a mini boss, kill other spiders, it won't count, and I've done that countless times, just doing it mindlessly, and it's very stupid why that even exists. As for the Slayer, you wouldn't really magic find swap. That's not a thing you do on Slayers anymore because of habanero tactics. Also, not to mention, perfect example that I dropped it here, but I got toxic arrow poison from that. Toxic arrow poison, as you might know, if you shoot a bow, it'll go ahead and shoot out the toxic arrow poison in your inventory. There's no sack, there's no way to turn this off or anything, but if you're not paying attention and you drop one of these while you're shooting down the eggs, you are also shooting your toxic arrow poison. These cost 6,000 coins per, and if you're shooting, 20-30 arrows a boss, that adds up pretty quickly if you're forgetting about it. Meaning that every time you end a Slayer and you drop it, you have to go ahead, take the 5 seconds of downtime, go into your ender chest, put it away, and rinse and repeat every time you drop this stupid drop. And it's a very common drop as well. That's the worst part about it. So to recap, there is a bunch of downtime on the boss. There's a way to fully brick out the boss. You probably do on accident every, I would say 20 or so bosses. You have a stupid mechanic that you need to use a mosquito shortbow for. Only shoots 1 arrow at a time and no more. There's just an annoying 2 seconds at the end of every boss for no literal reason. And then the whole toxic arrow poison thing. There's just so much wrong with this boss that I hate. So with that out of the way, let me go ahead and tell you the fact that I will not be doing the rest of the Slayer on my own. With all this happening, I do not see myself willingly going to do 18 million Spider Slayer XP, as this might be the worst 18 million XP of my life. So, as I needs be, I will be using more Anake feathers. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and use these Anake feathers all the way up till the Slayer die. Of course, I still want to do a bunch of more bosses, but listen, if I find them for a good price, I'm going to be using them, and each one of these still count for 500k XP towards the meter. In other words, I think this is like 300 or so bosses, and listen, 20 million coins to skip 300 bosses is very worth it in my opinion. Alright, after using all the XP that I have right now, if I go into my RNG meter, I'm sitting at 64.5 billion XP, a lot closer than I was before the feathers. The reason I'm recording this so early before I actually have dropped the die was specifically so I can start using some feathers. I'm only sitting at roughly 1100 bosses into this whole thing, and I guess from here on out, I'll keep updating you guys if I use any more, if I continue doing a bunch more bosses. At the bare minimum, I want to do a total of 24 hours of just pure bosses. Doesn't sound like a lot, but the Slayer really takes the most out of you. So yeah, at least I want to get that done so I can have somewhat of a loot pile to show at the end of the video. And I will say the loot has been going pretty good so far, but it's too early to call, so I will keep doing more Slayers and see you guys then. Okay, I didn't know how I was going to possibly include this in the video, but this might be the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So obviously, a thing with Slayers is you keep the mini bosses alive because it's good to spawn the next boss. If you spawn your boss in, you want to keep the mini for the next boss. And for some reason, if you ever spawn in a red mini and then the other red mini, this one will just start attacking the skeleton. I don't know how this works, but this is like the second time it's happened and I needed to get this on video. Like, what in the hell am I looking at? So I think this is a good time to mention if I knock this guy away. The light red mini is actually better than the dark red mini. If I kill this dark red mini, it only gets me to like 13 out of 17 kills on the boss. But if I kill this red mini, okay, if I had stacks, I didn't have stacks there, but if I had stacks, it would insta spawn the boss. So that's just, it's a really fun thing. Anyway, a little update, nearly 2,000 bosses in. I said I was gonna aim for 2,400. I probably already corrected myself earlier, but I'm honestly having a good time, and I'm only missing 5.4k bosses now, and I'm probably just gonna do the rest by hand. Honestly, the money that I was making earlier has not maintained, but honestly, it's also just a chill Slayer. Now that I'm 2,000 bosses in, I've gotten most of the hang of it. Probably won't do any more major updates, but I think that was just so funny to include. Yo, as you might see in the bottom right, I'm 3.5k bosses away from getting the brick red die, but the sad truth is, unless I want this video to come out in like 2 months from now, I kind of need to get this over with. I'm not gonna have the time to necessarily allocate to getting this die done, so I am taking the cheesy way out. Not to say I've not done enough bosses, I've done a lot of bosses actually, a lot more than I planned, and I've gotten a decent amount of loot to show you how much profit you can make if you wanted to do Terra Slayer on your own. But if I go ahead into the Maddox menu and over to the RNG meter, I'm at 69 million XP, meaning I need to go ahead and buy 12 feathers. Each one of these are 20, 21 mil per. Listen, it's the last time I will ever buy these, so I'm also not really against buying them, to be fair. Alright, I'm not going to bore you with it. I've already put everything in, and now this is the last feather to get me to 75 million XP. Just to double check, if we go into Maddox, select to drop Brick Red die at 100%, you will get the shop the next time you defeat a Tarantula Broodfather 1 or higher. And well, I already have the quest for a tier 5 active. Let me turn off Auto Slayer. I am never doing another Tarantula boss again. And I guess it's just time to drop this thing, finally. This has been so long in the coming. I've done a lot more than I was ever planning to do a Spider Slayer for this video, but I'm honestly glad I did. This Slayer wasn't as boring as I thought it would be. It's just conveniently, I also do not really have the time to finish this off properly. So we're killing the final actual boss. No more stupid egg sacks ever again. Killing this boss here will give me the Brick Red die. God bless America. That is a beautiful message. Copy that. Well then, that is the 18th die of my collection finally done. Alright, with the die finally dropped, I think it's time we talk about everything that I dropped during this whole thing, and for you to finally decide if you should actually go ahead and do Tarantula Slayer over any other Slayer. All these chests are what I got from Terra Slayer, not as many as compared to Revs, just a lot less drops in general. First of all, I will cover a few things that don't actually exist inside of these chests. The first thing being that mob kills actually do count for a lot of coins, being 70 million in total. On top of that, pet XP also makes a good amount of money. Unlike with ghouls where you just stuck with a ghoul pet the whole time, it's actually better to level up tarantula pets along the way, as you can see by the multiple tarantula pets I have in this menu. And on top of that, you also get XP share, which in total 162 mil came from normal pet XP, 60 mil from XP share, meaning at roughly 1 pet XP per coin, that is 222 million coins just from pet XP alone. A few other things, Burning Eyes made up 11 million coins of the profit. I was just not going to take all these out of my sack. And also in this ender chest page over here, I have 1737 flaming spider shards, which add up to be roughly 35 million coins. There is one final thing that isn't in these chests, but I'll talk about that in a second. For now, let's cover what's inside of here. And that first starts off with the insane amount of toxic air poison. In total, 30,427 of it, being 152 million coins. The annoying thing is that you can't NPC this. This actually goes for a way higher value on the bazaar, so that's something I'm gonna have to deal with. Next up, we have probably the most important chest, the full double chest of Bane of Arthropod 6 books. Literally did not even count these to the profit. Don't know why I kept them. Next, this chest has a bunch of random stuff in it. A bunch of runes, a bunch of catalysts, rune books. I didn't even count these towards the cost. And then also the Terra Silk, which adds up to around 150 mil. The catalysts aren't worthless. 11 mil for all the Tarantula, 2 mil for the Spider. This whole chest is like roughly 170 mil. Moving on, the more crazy rare drops, we have a bunch of Terra Talismans being worth 5 mil for 38 of them. A bunch of Fly Swatters, which have a value of 14.5 mil, simply because of their NPC price. Something I don't have a lot of are the Vial of Venoms. These are a little pricey. I only got 18 of them, not as many as I was expecting. And then these single chests get a lot more cool. Starting from the top, we have 22 Shriveled Wasps. I feel like I got RNG carried in this department. You'll see in a second. But yeah, 22 of these, 350 million coins. They were actually worth 390 literally a second ago. So 390 mil is how much they're actually worth. In the chest below, we have a few Digestive Mosquitoes being worth a lot. This whole chest is worth 300 million coins. And then below that, we only have 8 ensnared snails. These aren't expensive, only going for around 7 million coins. I mean, it's not that useful, but still, only 8 when I drop 22 Shriveled Wasps. I don't know. And then you're probably expecting it. This last chest over here, if I click on it, I have 2 Primordial Eyes. That's it only. And then the Brick Red die, which obviously has some value to it, 94 million coins, and then 250 mil for both the Primordial Eyes, which is just insane because over here I have 14 Warden Hearts from all the rest. Granted, I didn't do as much, but come on, only 2? So in total, in this whole thing, I only got 6 million Slayer XP. As you guys might have seen throughout the video, I've been cheesing it with the Nake feathers, so obviously not the full 75 million XP. That 6 million XP led to me killing 3.8k bosses, which I would say roughly took 40 hours. I would say you could kill 100 an hour, but with just random downtime and just overall bullshit with the boss, that's probably the realistic number. In total from this boss, I made 2.349 billion coins, but you do have to subtract the insane spawning costs, which were in this case 295 million coins, leaving us with 2 billion and 54 million coins left over. Still a lot of money. if you divide that by the 40 hours, you're looking at 51 million coins an hour, which is actually really good. The Slayer boss isn't as annoying as other Slayer bosses in my opinion. It's really chill other than the bugs residing in the Slayer. You don't have to do some crazy tech with pet swapping and all that bullshit. You literally just hit it with one weapon, you use one bow, and that is it. Plus, you could probably make that money without having such a brutally overpowered setup. Something I forgot to mention till now is that if I go ahead into my Slayer stacks, I have an absurd amount of Tarantula, specifically 544 million coins worth of it, according to my calculations. Not all of this was from the video, but most of it was. And that is where the majority of the profit came from. I made double what I made in Tarantula Web than I did in Primordial Eyes. On top of that, you have 150 mil coming from Toxic Arrow Poison, another 160 mil coming from Terra Silk. A lot of this stuff isn't Magic Find related, so you don't need to go ahead and spend an absurd amount of money maxing out a Sting like I did. Completely useless, it doesn't actually matter, and you could probably make a good amount of money still by doing the Slayer. Especially if you don't have the Slayer maxed out, I mean, come on, there's no excuse now. If I go ahead and call Vincent, we could go into the die menu, and if we go ahead and find this die, we are the 210th person on the server to drop it, which is not bad. Wish I could have dropped it top 100, but I mean, the die update came out 2 years ago. And as I said, if I go ahead into my die backpack, that is my 18th die. Let me actually take it out of the chest and put it inside of there maybe. That is the 18th unique die that I've gotten, and will probably be the last one for a good bit if I'm gonna be fully honest. Die grinding in Skyblock has gotten to the point where a lot of these are just so insanely stupid for me to go to. I'm still missing some relatively easy ones, I guess. I don't have Aquamarine. I still don't have Carmine die. I'm pretty sure Fossil die isn't bad either. But then on top of all those dies, we have some stupid dies I haven't gotten yet, like Copper die, Byzantium die, Iceberg die. I mean, there's some dies that I will physically just never get, as I don't see myself ever putting the hundreds of hours for these stupid dies. And especially when it comes around to Slayer dies, we are only missing 3 more Slayer dies, being the Sven, the Blaze, and the Enderman die, all just being still ridiculous to get. So sadly, this will probably be the last die video for a good bit. Maybe if one comes around and I'm feeling like it, you might get another die video, who knows? But till then, I have so much shit to sell from die grinding. I am still sitting on all this Diana loot from the mythological die, all this now Tarantula Slayer loot. I haven't sold a lick of all the zombie loot. I mean, this is insane. To be fair, I've been waiting for Warden Hearts to go up. I'm even sitting on the dragon loot still. I mean, my island's a mess, man. Anyway, hopefully this was a fun video, and I guess I'll see you next time. Maybe if I'm getting another die. Maybe not. Maybe this will be the last die ever, and the end of the channel, and you're never coming back, and you should use code CANDY. Good night.